Greetings and welcome back to the From the Depths Vehicle Designer, where I have already done the monkey work of just setting up an initial platform. Now we're jumping across to this episode directly from episode 11, and those of you who have joined me from episode 11 will already know what we intend to build with this episode. However, those who are watching this independently, we are going to be working on a simple, cheap, now the real emphasis here is on cheap resource gathering outpost. Now, as I said, I've already made a basic platform because I want it to be kind of circular. I've got an idea of what I want to build with this, but the chief concerns: A, be cheap; B, don't use metal, or at least use as little of it as possible to get what you need to do done, because that's the primary resource that we're shy of; and C, be fairly, well, how to put this gently, I don't want to groan and feel really like, oh my lord, we've just been set back by like several episodes if I lose this. It's not really made to be destroyed, but it's not made to fight either. And if I lose it, I don't want to lose a lot of things with it, a lot of resources. So with that said, let's start work on this. Now, although this is going to be a cheap build, I'm not going to make it an ugly one, not intentionally anyway. So let's start off with a spin block. Precision spin block, I think, traveling in the same direction as the actual vehicle. Yes, I think that will do well. Then we'll have a wooden block on here, but then all of this should be light blocks. Now, the reason I'm going to be using light blocks is because there's going to be a lot of stuff in here that I want this not to interact with. Now, unfortunately, light blocks, as you may have noticed, quite crystal heavy, so this is going to be an expensive build in that regard. Now, how many blocks have we got? We've got 4 there, we've got 4 there, we've got, we'll go out to 12 just to make it nice and even. There we go, and another 12. There we are. So that should be, by the looks of it, 5 to the edge, 5 to the edge. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, well, we're going to start off by designing this outer part first. Now, what we want is to place a wood block right there. And then I do hope you can't hear my neighbors working on their lawns at the moment. Unfortunately, not much I can do about that one. We'll build that out. We'll get another wood block here as well. Yes, I think so. We're going to start with the sloped block. And, oops, wrong key. We're going to place that down there. Actually, you know what? We'll be using prefabs to copy this, so it makes more sense for me to just mirror this one part. Then a sloped block here. We want another block there and rotate it all the way around. That's right. Sorry, I'm being a bit of a derp with that one. 2 wood blocks, I think, followed by a small slope. Then another small slope. And then, finally, this. Oops. There we go. That gives us a nice little beginning of a ring, but it's not going to be a full ring, I don't think. Let's go down to prefabs. We've got a curve. What is this curve thing for? I have no idea what I was doing with that. But we'll wipe this out. We'll still call it curve because that's actually the right thing. Now, how many blocks? We're 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 4 width, we'll say. No, actually, I think length will be the one this way. Sorry, that way. We want about 15, if I counted it correctly, and 1 height. I know this looks nothing like it, but don't worry, that's because I'm locked. Aha, there we go. Perfect. Right, now if we just position ourselves down there, copy, perfect. Using prefabs, so much easier. 1 there. Now we have to be wary of overwriting the wrong blocks here, but I think that's about right. There we go. So we've got our initial spinner that's going to be able to be spinning around. I quite like that. I quite like it a lot. We're going to want some wood blocks around here. Now, we are ultimately going to want some more wood blocks than this. But we're going to want to go back to editing the hull for the time being. Now, I've already made a prefab for the platform I've made. simply because it's the sort of thing that I'm going to be using a lot of. There we are. We'll come down here. I'm thinking we're going to want something which can... Ooh, it sounds like quite a lot of work is going on outside. I really hope that doesn't disturb everyone in the recording. I do apologize if it does, but I forgot the mirror line. We're going to want about 3 up there. This is where we're going to have our oil, I think. I am thinking of putting the the resource gatherers over on here. Ooh, that is slightly out of place. Why is that so out of place? I knew something would go wrong. Let me grab... Yes, I've placed that in slightly the wrong position. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Is this okay? So that's 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that kind of looks right, but it's all been just 1 too high. I am an epic derp. Let me just quickly fix this by deleting all of that. Deleting all of that there. Add all of that. There we go. Right, back to prefabs. Where's my curve? There we go. We want the curve to exist about there. That's what I'm thinking. Is that right? Oh, I think I might need it. Hard to tell, honestly. I think there. No, that's too close now. Drat, damn and blast. Okay, I'm going to have to just wipe this out then. Like so. Place that and then use that as the anchor point. I think that's right. It looks right. Probably... Oh, no. No. They are, in fact, wrong. Drat. I think the outside ones are a little bit too far out. Got 1... Yeah, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side. Ah, drat and blast. Right, well, this one is now the odd one out. Damn it. Everyone in the comments are like, Alec, my brain. You're hurting my brain once again. Why do you do this to me, Alec? I don't mean to. There we go. Fixed. Almost. Now fixed. I think. About there. I think that's right. Yes, it is. Okay. Sorry about that. Little bit of a detour there. Right, back to planning the hull. Now, my plan here would be to have... We'll remove these. I know it'll make it look a little bit weird for the time being, but that's fine. I'll place the mirror line there so I don't have to do this over and over again. And then over here as well. There we go. Right, I would like very much to have the oil drills around here. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do to make these symmetrical. They are going to take a lot of room no matter what I do. And one there, one there. Well, that's 8 oil drills. More than we need, to be perfectly honest. We're going to need... Well, we could... Considering how much oil drills take... Well, they only take a little bit of metal, so it's not really that much of a problem at the moment. Ooh, what we could do instead, actually, thinking about it, plans changing. Why didn't I think of this before? We could have 4 oil drills by doing this. That seems like a much better idea. It was because I suspect that I had the... Oh, damn it. Oh, well, I'm removing it from the other side, so it's not too bad. Because I had the light blocks, and so it was causing me to think not to build it there. I was treating the light blocks as if they were solid, and they most definitely are not. That's the whole point of them. So, there we go. Oil drill. Oil drill over here as well. And here. And then over there. Oops, a daisy. That was the wrong place. Is that all okay? Yes, I think it is. So, oil drill there. Okay, so 4 oil drills. That is not too bad. Now, what I would like... See, I should have thought of this before I made this prefab. But I would quite like to be able to lock that in position. I would very much like to be able to have all of this down here, like the resource gatherers just out on these limbs. So let's quickly add in the mirror line. Now I'm not activating the spinner yet. Usually I do, and then I regret it when I can't easily move around because the spinner is just constantly moving and it never quite lines up. So right now everything lines up properly, so it's quite easy for me to work with. We'll have the resource gatherers on these limbs. I think that's going to look really good when this is in motion. The spin will have to be a fairly mild spin, otherwise it'll look quite bad. But for now, I think we're okay. There we go, and then another resource gatherer in here. There we are. Right, so our oil gathering and our resource gathering is set up. The oil gathering will be static, but the resource gathering will be constantly in motion, and I like that. Ooh, the other thing that we could do, come to think of it, as this is meant to be a resupply area, can I have a... we can't have a supply pump. Well, that is a shame. That is a crying shame. I would have really liked to have had a supply pump there. But okay. What we could do is we could build the supply pumps over here on the hull. That would allow us to have this be 3 tall, which would make everything a little bit more in place. Though I'm going to need to lock it. There we go. That's going to be a pain. What we'll do is we'll place down the prefab on top of this first. So prefab circle and lock, and then make sure this is roughly in the same place because this is going to be a pain to take back down. There we go. Right, now we should be able to add in the supply pumps. Upside down, like so. Nope, that is not good. Upside down, lock, rotate, like so. Okay, perfect. And then rotate this way. There we are. So 4 supply pumps, oil drills, resource gatherers. Looking good so far. Now we could put a nice little shape to the top. We could... Ooh, wait a second. Why is that not being mirrored? That was not part of the plan. In fact, that is kind of frustrating, as I had gone to the effort of adding in all of the necessary mirror lines, or at least I thought I had, but it doesn't appear that that's stuck. Never mind. Fairly easy for me to fix. There we go. Right, now back to the hull. We're going to put the engine in here, I imagine, and also any sort of control systems, and then just have this almost like a little pill-shaped thing. Again, hopefully fairly cheap. Let's actually have a look at general. Very little metal cost so far, very little oil, a little bit of scrap, a lot of natural, but that's fine. But wow, does this need a lot of crystals. Oh, those light blocks are expensive. Okay, that's something for me to address then, because we cannot, absolutely cannot afford that kind of expense, I'm afraid. So, once again, let's place down the mirror line right by there and bring this in a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on each side should be fine. Yep, that looks okay. And then on this side as well. Alright, hopefully that will have brought down the cost just a little bit, but still bloody expensive to use these light blocks. Really, really expensive. Okay, well, we're just going to have to accept it to have that look. As much as this was meant to be a cheap place, it's ending up being ridiculously expensive in terms of crystals. Now, thankfully, we're not going to have to build an AI, though. So, for engines, this is a 3x3, and that's by design. The best engine I can make that's even remotely efficient fits into a 3x3. So, we're going to want it about here, I think. And then take down the crankshaft all the way to the opposing side, around about the same spot. Then we are going to want to start adding in cylinders. Now, we're going to want one there. We want the mirror line first. And there and there. That'll do. Now, this might not be enough power. And if it isn't, I can expand it out a little bit more. But hopefully, this will suffice. We'll get one there, here. Moving along. Like so. And then finally, on top as well. Right, now, from my ye oldie sciencey video-y on engines, the most efficient design in a 3x3 area that I could do was something along the lines of this. Well, actually, we kind of wanted the cylinders to be in a different position, thinking about it. Well, we'll have to just go with that. So we'll put a supercharger here. Now, the ideal ratio is 2 to 3. So you want 3 fuel tanks for every 2 superchargers that any particular cylinder is connected to. That is not what we've got here. This will probably be 3 to 2. This has no supercharger, so it does need some. So let's pop down some superchargers. Actually, this might work out with that design. How about you? You've got 3 to 2, 3 to 2, I hope, and 3 to 2. Yes. Now, the ones in the middle should be 10 to 6. Now, 10 to 6 is fine because it's 3 to 2, 6 to 4, 9 to 6. We're only 1 off. We've got 1 extra fuel tank, and that's hardly going to hit it too badly. And we're producing a reasonable amount of power, much more than we need. This is all working well. The engine is purring. Good times to be had. Now, what we're going to want is some resources in here. So we're going to want fuel storage, I imagine. We'll place that over here because we don't need to place it anywhere else. We're not going to have a lot of fuel storage. Well, actually, we're going to have a stupid amount of fuel storage, that said. And a fuel processor. We'll also be building a little bit of ammo here. The ammo is there purely to help with supplying any ships. That's all those ammo barrels are there for. They aren't actually going to do anything themselves. Well, that said, it does add in a vulnerability because if they explode, they're going to take out a lot of stuff. But no, I would actually like this to have a little bit of ammo supply. So it's got 1,000 ammo, which it can offload onto any ship nearby. What else are we going to need in here? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, spares crates would be useful for repairing. So we'll place a spares crate or 2 right about there. And finally, let's add in... Where are the repair bots? We, of course, want some repair bots on this for internal repairs. There we go. Now, that's going to have pumped up the cost of this base a fair old bit. We're now requiring 3,000 metal, 9,000 natural, 3,000 scrap, 1,900 oil, 10,000 crystals still. But it's not too bad, all things considered. We can easily hit 3,000 metal. That's pretty much the main limiting factor that we'd have with this. But we should be okay with that. Now, we've got a fair bit of extra power. We could look at actually making this a floating fortress that just keeps up at a very, very shallow height above the water, but is technically above the water at all times. Otherwise, my resource gatherers are not going to work, and that seems like a reasonable idea to me. So, how about we have some, let's see, fortress. Would it be under this? No, thrust control? I've never seen that before. Let's see, maybe miscellaneous, fortress. There will be something around here that will be for fortress engines. Fortress Sky, Fortress Turbine. Ah. This is a problem, because this isn't considered a fortress. We can't now turn it into one. Well, I guess what we could do instead is have a spin block above here, which acts as a little helicopter blade that keeps it up in the sky. That actually might be kind of cute. It's not exactly what I was planning on doing, but at the same time, I think it might be quite nice. Let's flip that upside down. This is going to be our spin block for the arms. It's going to need a range of 2 to reach the... Well, we'll give it 3 just to be on the safe side. So this will affect this spin block. I'm not going to set it up yet, but that's going to need to be there. So I need to keep that in mind that it exists. Oh, actually, that said, I could easily have the control block just down here. Yes, that would be a little bit better, because then I can have propellers on the top and the bottom if I so desire. We'll make this have a range of 2. There we go. That'll work. Alright, now then. For actually keeping this in the sky, we could have 2 propellers, one at the top, one at the bottom, or we could just have 1 propeller. I'm liking the idea of 2, honestly, but I'm going to need to make a bit of a rim around this to properly fit the propellers on. So rather than keep you here where I'm fiddling around with getting the right shape and feel to this little pillbox resource gathering outpost, I'm going to pause the video here, and I will bring you back once I've added all of the shape and I'm ready to add in the propellers. So see you in a few moments. And welcome back. As you can see, I have done a fair bit of work in shaping this. I haven't painted any of it yet though, and I think that's something I'm going to probably do off camera after this episode and before I return to the campaign, so that just so that we're not sat here for ages, but I've got a very good idea now of how I'm going to be painting this. There are still a few little bits and bobs here and there that are uncertainties, but for the most part, this is a very solid design now in my mind. Now then, to have a quick look over what we've done, I've embellished these curves quite a lot, thickened them up quite a lot as well, and just generally given them a nice little bit of aesthetic there. I've also kind of given them a bit more of a shape where they connect. There's only a tiny little space now where they connect, but we can probably still put something there if we actually have to. Now, we've got the supply pumps there. They're not covered up, because if they were, I don't think they would work properly. And down here, we have a slight hole here for the oil pumps, because again, I don't think if they're covered up that they would work properly. But you may notice that there's a conspicuous kind of area left open, and you may also notice, I think there's a puff of green smoke there. I've gone to the effort of redesigning this as a fortress. Now, I was really not certain about doing it, but halfway through building all of this, I realized, oh, well, actually, as a fortress, I probably want to give it a fortress AI, or rather, as something that's going to be gathering resources, I probably want to give it a fortress AI, simply so that it can make sure it moves into the resource zone. And that's when it struck me. When I tried to add in an AI, it denied me. I can't add a fortress AI card to a non-fortress. Very disappointing. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet then. I'm going to set this up, build it as a fortress. That took a fair bit of work. I basically restarted the designer, loaded in a copy of the previous vehicle, then created a new fortress, and then just using prefabs moved the whole vehicle across to the fortress, and then wiped out the old vehicle. So here we are. This is the new vehicle. We've got the fortress turbines internal to the craft. I've also got a seat, and I've got a fortress control, so I can control it, and an AI with a patrol card and a fortress control card. So now this will try to move itself into a position where it can gather resources, which is exactly what we want. Now, I'm still really keen on having the spinner blocks, on having the helicopter blades. And from what I understand, if you have helicopter blades, it'll actually help the fortress anyway, because it takes a bit of the work off it, so that the fortress turbines don't have to work as hard. You don't have to spend as much of your power on maintaining them, which is quite a nice thing to do. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And I'm actually thinking about it. You know what? Even if the spinners, the rotor blades don't actually provide anything, I want to add them anyway for the aesthetic. They might not be necessary at all. But at this point, we can probably just turn this on now. I've already set up everything. It's at measure blocks 2. That's good. Effect delay shouldn't... measuring seconds, the effect will be applied after this time. Only one effect. No. Go ahead straight away. If the vehicle health is there, then I would like this to be working. No, not at 6. Let's go with 2, thank you. And we don't want that there either. There we go, test. There we are. Look at that. That looks absolutely wonderful, I think. Absolutely wonderful. It probably wouldn't look as good if this were... I'm not even sure you could build the oil pumps on this, but because they've got long hoses, or well, I guess I suppose these might not be hoses. I imagine there's a drill on the end, but anyway, these long hoses connected. I think it would look just too messy, too tangly, but the lasers look perfect. Looks like it's trying to bore its way through the ocean. Ah, how glorious that is. I'm very, very happy with the result of that. That actually looks fantastic, but it's a little bit too stable in a way. I would actually like it to be kind of weaving back and forth. And ahead of that, let's go ahead and... Oh, really? We can't have jet stabilizers? Oh, kind of damned if we do and damned if we don't, really. I could either have this as a vehicle and lack the ability to tell it to always stay inside a resource ring, which is its primary goal, is to gather resources, or I can have it a fortress and not have all of the cool, funky stuff that I want to add, but oh well. Let's go to a dedicated helicopter blade spinner. We'll add some of these at the very, very least. Now, we're going to need to build that up. We want a... There we go, an extension point there. Now, we want these, and I'm not going to put the mirror line on because it mirrors them in the wrong way. Basically, I want these to all be facing the same direction, all be facing clockwise or anti-clockwise. The problem is, if you got a mirror line, I'll quickly demonstrate actually. If I put this there, then both sides now face the wrong way, if you see what I mean. They'll both, well, one will face clockwise and the other will face anti-clockwise, which is not what you want. So we'll turn the mirror line off there. There we go. Oh, sorry, no, wrong. There we are. And build this all the way out. Now, I've got some plans for how I'm going to color this. Now, I'm really not certain that this is actually going to affect the position of the fortress in any way. It may be that the fortress is just too stable now, and that will be a shame. I mean, it's good in a way, but it is ultimately going to be a shame because I was really kind of set on the idea of getting this to work for me, but oh well. I had that going that way, so I think I need to try and do it this way down here. I'm not sure. I think so. I think basically I need the blades pointing the opposite direction for me to be able to have the spinner work in this. Because if I put the control block saying like a spin of 15, it'll be spinning in the opposite direction. So if I place the blades in the opposite direction down here, then it won't actually matter. There we go. It'll just make things a little bit easier when I add the control blocks in. I think. I could be going completely the wrong way with that. And if I am, you have my permission to just laugh at me. I guess you don't need my permission for that anyway, but you have it nevertheless. We want this in there and this in there as well. Now these ones I want to be fairly tightly controlled. We want it to... Actually, 2 is probably going to be fine down here as well. Let me just set that up on all of them so I don't forget. And then suddenly throw this thing into disarray as blocks are trying to control blocks they're not meant to be controlling. And there we go. There we are. Right, okay, up here. We want this one. If the altitude is less than, then control the spin blocks. I would like to set the rotational speed. Let's say if the altitude is less than 20, then ramp up all the way to full speed. Okay, that's working. And it's not even moving. But then again, this might not be enough lift yet. But the next one is if the altitude is greater than a certain amount, then I want you to set the spin rotation. Let's say if it's greater than 25, put the spin rotation down to say 15. We don't want to completely cut the engine or reverse it. That would be even worse. But we do want to try and control it. So down here we want, if altitude is less than, then control the spin blocks. Set rotation speed. If it's less than 20, full speed. And over here, it doesn't actually look like it's going to affect it in the slightest. That is a bit of a shame. Honestly, that I am a little bit disappointed with that. Well. I could try and make this a vehicle and just have it fighting against itself effectively, because I'm fairly certain it would be fighting against itself in a way. But let's just replace that spin block and set this one. If it's less than 15, then set this to... In fact, I should just set this if its health, if the vehicle health is above 0%, then set it to 15, because I want these always active then if it's not specifically, if it's not going to have any sort of effect on its height, then I just want it to be active all the time. There we go. There we go. I mean, it looks quite nice. I kind of like it. I do wish it was wobbling a little. I know that sounds silly, but I love the way that if you've just got helicopter blades and they're just trying to maintain a height, it just kind of wobbles in the air. I think it would look grand, but this is far too stable in a way. But still, I like the sound of it. I like the sound of the rotor blades just spinning there. And they're at a nice spin, and I can already see how I'm going to paint these to make them kind of stand out. But I think that's about it for this little fortress, our first resource gathering fortress. So let's come out of that, and let's actually check on the cost. It ended up being fairly expensive. 14,000 natural, 4,000 scrap, 3,000 oil, 4,000, scrap, 4,000 metal up there, 4,000 scrap, and 10,000 crystals to make one of these. They cost 159,000 RP, which is effectively a measure of how complex the thing is, and it's really not that good. But this is the basic version of this vehicle. We're going to call it Hairbenu for now. Oops. Hairbenu. There we are. It's a sky fortress called Hairbenu. Now, this is the basic version. This is the smallest version that's meant to be in very, very calm waters. And I'm thinking of just evolving this design. Instead of making a new design for a larger version, taking this and just making it bigger, making it more capable, adding metal plating, adding spikes, adding weapons, so on and so forth, and just slowly build up this as my overall resource gathering fortress. Because it's never going to be my home. In the previous series, I often had one of my fortresses as being kind of my home base. Well, we've not got that. We've got the dock city. That's going to be home. This is literally just going to be a resource gathering fortress. So I can just have them growing bigger and bigger and bigger and evolving into, more competent combat-worthy forms as they approach the front line. Eventually. I mean, right now, we kind of need to keep things cheap/ish because this is meant to be cheap. It isn't. But I do seem to have a bit of a problem with making cheap designs. But that's it from me for this design episode. I'm pretty happy with the design at this point. I'm going to be jumping straight over to the campaign in episode 11, where this little beauty shall probably be built and will also have been painted. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you would like to see what it looks like with its new paint job, then you can join me in episode 11. I'll leave an annotation on the screen right about now and a card for mobile users. But that is it from me. So once again, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you like the new design. But until next we meet, do take care.